Imagine holding it. Smooth skin, cool to the touch, perfectly shaped. A red apple glowing in golden light. You have seen it before. In paintings, in children's Bibles, in stained glass windows, in cartoons. The apple, the fruit that ruined the world. But what if I told you the fruit never existed? What if the most famous apple in history was never in the garden at all? Tonight, we step into Eden, not as tourists, not as theologians, but as witnesses. We will walk the ground, hear the wind, feel the silence before everything changed. And by the time we leave, you may never see the story the same way again. Before shame, before fear, before death, there was a garden, not wild jungle, not tangled forest, but planted, intentional. The ground was soft and dark, rich with life. Rivers branched outward like silver veins. Light moved through leaves that shimmered in hues no modern eye has ever seen. And in the center, 2 trees. They were not marked with warning signs. They did not glow ominously. They simply stood, alive, watching. Adam walked beneath them daily. He did not yet know what it meant to fear. He did not yet know what it meant to lose. He knew only breath, sunlight, and the quiet companionship of God, walking in the cool of evening. And then she came, Eve, not formed from dust like he was, but from living flesh, a mirror, a companion, a mind that met his. The garden felt fuller when she laughed. And together they wandered. They touched bark, named creatures, waded through clear waters. Everything was permitted, everything except one tree. The command had been simple. You may eat from every tree, but not from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That was all. No explanation of why, no detailed consequence beyond the solemn warning. In the day you eat of it, you will surely die. Death, a word they did not understand. They had never seen decay, never buried anything, never watched breath leave a body. The tree did not look dangerous. Its fruit did not drip poison. It was beautiful, and beauty is often where temptation begins. The serpent did not arrive with thunder. It slipped silently through tall grass. Its scales caught light like wet bronze. Its eyes were ancient. It did not hiss threats. It asked a question. Did God really say you cannot eat from any tree? Eve turned. She knew the command. We may eat from the trees, just not that one. If we do, we die. The serpent tilted its head slightly. You will not die. There it was. Contradiction. Doubt. For God knows that when you eat it, your eyes will open. You will be like him. Like him. The phrase hung in the air. Eve looked at the food again. She had passed it countless times. But now she saw it differently. It was good for food, pleasant to the eyes, and desirable to make one wise. Wisdom, not rebellion, not chaos. Wisdom. What harm could wisdom bring? The moment stretched. Wind moved through branches. Adam stood nearby, silent, watching. Eve reached out. Her fingers brushed the skin of the fruit. Nothing happened. No lightning. No tremor. The serpent remained still. She plucked it from the branch. The sound of separation was soft, almost delicate. For a heartbeat, she hesitated. Then she bit. The flesh broke. Sweetness filled her mouth. Adam watched her chew, and nothing happened. No collapse. No death. She swallowed. Then she handed it to him, and he ate. And everything happened. They became aware of themselves, aware of vulnerability, aware of nakedness. Shame flooded in like cold water. For the first time, they saw not just each other, but themselves through imagined judgment. They covered, they hid. The garden had not changed, but their perception had. And perception is powerful. Evening came, as it always had. The cool wind moved between trees. And then, the sound, footsteps. God walking in the garden. Before, this sound brought joy. Now it brought terror. Adam pulled Eve behind thick leaves. Silence pressed against their ears. "Where are you?" The question echoed gently. Not because God did not know, but because they needed to answer. "I was afraid," Adam said. "Because I was naked." Afraid, another new word. And with fear came blame. "The woman you gave me." And Eve said, "The serpent deceived me." Responsibility fractured. Trust cracked. Harmony broke. Not because of an apple, but because of a choice. It was never named. The ancient text simply calls it fruit. In Hebrew, piri, no apple, no color, no species. Centuries later, Latin translators used the word malum for evil. And malum also meant apple. Artists painted what they knew. Europe knew apples. So apples entered Eden, and the myth was born. But the story was never about botany. It was about autonomy. The fruit offered something subtle: independence, the right to define good and evil for themselves. Before that moment, they trusted. After that moment, they evaluated, judged, calculated. Humanity stepped into moral self-determination, and that burden was heavy, because knowledge brings consequence. God did not destroy them. He clothed them, garments of skin, a sign that innocence was gone, but care remained. Then they were sent out, not merely as punishment, but to prevent something worse. Another tree stood in the garden, the tree of life. If they ate from it in their fallen state, corruption would become eternal. So Eden closed. A flaming sword guarded the way, and humanity began its long walk through history. The fruit remains unnamed, because it is different for each of us. For some, it is pride. For others, control. For others, ambition disguised as wisdom. The forbidden apple was never about fruit. It was about trust, about the tension between dependence and independence, between obedience and self-definition. And that tension still lives in us. Every day, we stand before a tree. Every day, we hear whispers. Every day, we reach. And perhaps that is why the fruit was never identified. Because the moment you name it, you distance yourself from it. But unnamed, it becomes a mirror. The story does not end with exile. At the very end of Scripture, the tree of life appears again. Not in Eden, but in a restored creation. The garden returns. The fracture heals. The long journey home completes itself. And the fruit? It is no longer forbidden. Because trust has been restored. The apple was never the point. The choice was. And the story continues.